What is up, my friends? I know I said I wasn't going to be back on for a late night news roundup, but football moves fast and we have some developing / breaking news to talk you through about Liverpool's pursuit of Hugo Ekitike and what that may mean for our pursuit of Alexander Isak. I will give you all of the details over the next few minutes, but you know the score. I want to know your thoughts, so please feel free to let me know in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you want the news before we make a video or go live, then make sure to scan that QR code on the screen there now, where that will bring you to the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp community, where we adhere to give you the news before anybody else. And again, to those of you that are already in there, thank you so much for your continued support. Right, let's get cracking. I'm going to start off and build up to the Ekitike stuff, but tonight has been a pretty eventful night around Isak, to say the least. So we know that Newcastle had a pre-season friendly today against Celtic, and Isak didn't take part in the game. At first, it was briefed to the media that was because he was on a tailored training programme, but Eddie Howe then let the cat out of the bag when he said, no, I sent him home because, well, basically it's turning into a distraction at this point. And I'm wondering, are Newcastle starting to soften their stance? Well, I believe so, and I'm not the only one. Mike McGrath reporting said this: Liverpool's interest in Alexander Isak is long-standing, but Newcastle's owners will not accept anything lower than their valuation for the 25-year-old. That figure of £150 million would be a record for a player at a British club. Now, I don't know if Liverpool will get to that number or not, but this belief now that there is a number, there is a hard and fast number that Newcastle will do business at, I would say, sincerely, if I'm Eddie Howe, I'm looking at this and thinking the player's head might be turned, but either way, it's disrupting our pre-season. And it's also stopping Newcastle from going after other targets. Hell, just look at what's happened with Hugo Ekitike in Liverpool. Newcastle could have moved for him if they had have agreed to sell us Isak. And I know Newcastle fans don't want to hear that, but just look down through the long list of players that they've missed out on so far in this window. We're talking about Mbromo, we're talking about Cunha, we're talking about Trafford, Ekitike, and many more as well. And that could continue happening because of the restraints that Newcastle are working with. So I don't know if Liverpool will get to 150 million, but what I can say to you categorically tonight is Liverpool's pursuit of Isak isn't over, and there is a world where Liverpool could end up with Isak and Ekitike if Newcastle soften that stance. Now, what I don't know, as I've mentioned, is will Liverpool get to 150 million? Is he worth it? No, but it's a seller's market right now, and Liverpool could go into next season with Hugo Ekitike and Alexander Isak, as well as selling Luis Diaz, and I think that would give us enough options in attack. If you think about the left-hand side, you could have Rio, you could have Cody Gakpo, and Ekitike could operate there if needs be. Through the centre then, of course, Isak, maybe Ekitike, and on the right, the great man with maybe Federico Chiesa as a backup. So in a world of madness, which is what all of this is, there is a possibility that Liverpool may end up with both of the targets, Hugo Ekitike and Isak. And again, I would say, if I'm Eddie Howe, I'm probably urging the owners to think about selling Isak at this point, because it is already disrupting their pre-season. And if they don't sell him, well, they could have an unhappy player. And let's say he picked up a knock. And that, by the way, for what it's worth now, the fact that we are agreeing a deal for Ekitike, and I promise you I will get to that in a second, it kind of softens my worry about Isak and an injury, because if we have Ekitike, well, that would give us a bit of breathing room there in attack. So, Liverpool have submitted a second written offer for Hugo Ekitike, writes Florian Plettenberg. Personal terms are 100% agreed. Ekitike wants to join Liverpool. Positive negotiations between the clubs are now underway, and they're reviewing Liverpool's second offer. But the big breaking news tonight came from David Ornstein, who said, outline agreement between Liverpool and Eintracht Frankfurt for the transfer of Hugo Ekitike to Liverpool. Work needed to formally get it done, expected in the next day or so. If all odds on are met, anticipated club record sale, currently €95 million, and it would be probably 69 plus 7 or 69 plus 8, so about £76 million for Liverpool. Fabrizio Romano was next up to say Liverpool are closing in on Hugo Ekitike deal with Eintracht Frankfurt as new bid has been submitted. Package worth up to €90 million with add-ons, also part of the proposal being structured between the two clubs. But as David Ornstein mentioned, that outline agreement is now there, and it is just going to be Liverpool tying up a few of the formalities. So, Hugo Ekitike about to become a Liverpool player, and as I've mentioned, I don't think we're finished with Alexander Isak yet. I want to know from Newcastle fans, if you are in the chat, if you're in to be abusive, I won't be reading the comments, but if you're in to genuinely engage, let me know what you're thinking right now. because I know it's difficult to lose your best player, but this could allow Newcastle to start to build. And if you look at our situation when we got that Coutinho money well invested can really help to push you on to that next level. And respectfully, I don't think Newcastle are a rival of ours at this moment in time. We're a couple of steps ahead in our development, but there is certainly a good coach there, a great fan base at Newcastle, and if they are free from PSR headaches, I think Eddie Howe could go about building a very, very good squad, capable of challenging for the Premier League in 2 to 3 years and the Champions League. I want to move on to talk about Canade, though, a little bit as well, because reports tonight suggested that Liverpool have no intention of letting him leave for free at the end of the season. They're still trying to work out a deal there with Ibu to extend, but if they can't, it looks like they'll look to sell this summer. £40 million is the price tag that's been spoken about, and then we'll turn their attention to Mark Gay. Now, the reason why Liverpool probably haven't kicked on with Mark Gay just yet is probably quite simple. They need to see what happens with Canade. To the best of my understanding, the plan for this window was Liverpool to sell Jarell Kwanzaa and bring in another young defender, maybe the likes of a Jarell Haddo or the young kid Leone from Parma. But ultimately, those plans are a little bit up in the air. Obviously, what happened with Diogo Jota put a pause on Liverpool's business as well. But on top of that, they need to know what's happening with Canade. If Canade stays, it'll be a young centre-back. If Canade leaves, it'll probably be Mark Gay and a young centre-back. But either way, don't be stressing out there worrying that Liverpool haven't got this in hand. They will, and we won't be left short at centre-back. At least, that's what I'm hearing anyway. Moving on to Luis Diaz now. If Bayern Munich get to the £80 million Liverpool want, I really do believe that Luis Diaz will be sold. They're offering him about €280,000 per week as a wage, which would be, well, a good chunk extra that he's earning at Liverpool, to say the least. So I do think that one gets done over the next few days as well. And how could we go about teasing Isak out of Newcastle? Well, maybe Harvey Elliott as an option, but then again, Harvey has to want that move because this next move in his career is going to be an important one. But Newcastle do have the ability to offer him Champions League football, a great fan base, and the club going in the right direction. So let's wait and see what happens. But either way, right now, as Liverpool fans, we are genuinely in a world where Isak and Ekitike could well be possible, both of them together. Does that mean if Diaz moves on, we won't move for the likes of Rodrigo? Probably. But I tell you what, I would dare say I'd be happier with Ekitike and Isak than Ekitike and Rodrigo or Ekitike and Anthony Gordon. Now, I'm not saying it's done. I'm not saying we will get Isak, but I do feel that their stance is softening somewhat. And Eddie Howe, being honest, as Eddie Howe often is, said the player kind of distracted and that's why he left him out tonight. So for me, Newcastle should get selling and Liverpool should get putting down an offer. If not, maybe we move on to Rodrigo. Barcelona's name has also been mentioned with him, but I don't know what message that would be sending to Marcus Rashford if they went for Rodrigo, as well as bringing in him. But for me, ladies and gentlemen, happy to be on here tonight to say that the outline of a deal, as per David Ornstein, Liverpool and Eintracht Frankfurt have got an agreement in place, just a few formalities to go through, and Hugo Ekitike will be flying in for his Liverpool medical, probably ahead of the Reds trip over to Hong Kong and Japan for pre-season. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll have a video at about 4:30. Late night agenda tomorrow night because the family dinner I was speaking about, that's been kicked down the road to next week. So I will see you all here tomorrow, but I'm looking forward to reading your comments. Let me know how excited you are. The big news, Eintracht Frankfurt and Liverpool agree an outline package for Hugo Ekitike. Welcome to the greatest club on the planet, my friend. Much love. We'll talk soon.